Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Vic here, back with another Madden 20 video, and in today's episode, we're obviously going to be rebuilding the Carolina Panthers. As you can see from the title, Luke Kuechly did retire at the age of 29. I know that happened a while ago. It's like June. I think today is June 1st, the day I'm recording this, and in the draft they picked up, I think Derrick Brown it was, a defensive tackle at number 7 instead of taking Isaiah Simmons, which was crazy to me, which made no sense. I mean, Isaiah Simmons is more of an outside linebacker, but either way, they did need a linebacker. But apart from that, it's time to get into the rebuild. Here we are. To start off, Teddy Bridgewater, we are going to probably replace him unless he gets a development upgrade. Even if he does get a development upgrade, I don't think his overall will be high enough at the end of the season, and they are paying him too much even for his overall and development in Madden terms. And Christian McCaffrey is here also, and he is easily, in my opinion, the best running back in the NFL, receiving wise, but maybe not rushing wise, but overall the best running back in the NFL. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel is here. Tight end definitely needs improvement. O-line does need a little bit of improvement as well, but not the worst I've ever seen. Defensively, here is Derrick Brown. I moved him to superstar development because that's what he deserves, being the best defensive tackle in the class, I believe it is. And Yetur Gross-Matos, I believe it is how you say, and Brian Burns as well, who is not in this year's draft, obviously last year's draft. But apart from that, it is time to get into the trades. Here we are for the first trade, as we have K'Wan Short and Shaq Thompson for Zach Martin, a 4th and a 7th from the Dallas Cowboys. Both took up a lot of cap, and both just aren't at the right development or age to progress. So here is the next trade, our center and our free safety, Trey Boston, and a 7th, next year's 7th for a first projected pick in the draft from the Miami Dolphins. Next, we have our defensive tackle and a 3rd string halfback or 2nd string halfback for a first round pick from the Green Bay Packers. Just another cap situation, low overall. And next we have our right end on strong safety, another strong safety for a 1st and a 5 from the Arizona Cardinals. And I believe that will be our last pick before we get back into the team. And I stand corrected, that was our last pick. As I moved Zach Martin to center, we did improve at center. I know he cost a lot of cap, but he is worth it there because he is arguably the best guard in the NFL right now. But in my opinion, it's actually Quentin Nelson. He's the 2nd best guard. So Zach Martin, in my opinion, is the 2nd best guard in the NFL. Though this team did get take a pretty hard drop, but apart from that, it is time to get into the midseason mark. Here we are at the midseason mark. I don't expect big things, especially since we just came off a loss to the 49ers, and we are 1-5-1. I did not think it would be that bad, as we are at the bottom of the division below the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we have Taylor Moton right here, or Moton. I don't know how to pronounce anything. Russell Okung. Everyone's going to rage at me in the comments, but Curtis Samuel is here, and we do want to resign him. He's very expensive for his overall development. But I personally do like Curtis Samuel, so I think I am going to give him this contract, which I am. He resigns. Everyone else here don't really have an interest in, and I think maybe the offensive tackle and the left tackle I'm not going to resign. Probably going to pick better ones in the draft, so that won't really matter, and I'll save cap, so it's time to get into the playoffs. Here we are in the playoffs, coming off a loss to the New Orleans Saints, and we finish 5-9-1, I believe that is, and Teddy B is terrible, and defensively we were terrible as well. Offensively we were okay. Teddy B isn't as bad as I thought he was. He does have a lot of touchdowns. McCaffrey did not have a great season, but DJ Moore had a great season, 13 touchdowns, 1,300 yards. Defensively, Tahir Whitehead with the most tackles. Most tackle for a loss goes to Tahir Whitehead as well. Sacks, 5 for Yetur Gross-Matos. 2 interceptions for Jermaine Carter Jr. Safeties, 0. Defensive touchdowns, 0. So apart from that, we need to get into the offseason, make some big moves in free agency if we want to help this team make the playoffs. Here we are in the offseason as the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl without Zach Martin, 27-24 against the Houston Texans. I'm not going to re-sign either of those tackles because I think I can get better tackles in the draft for cheaper. So yeah, not really the biggest thing, but looking into the team to see if we have any development upgrades, as Teddy B did not get a development upgrade, but DJ Moore did get a well-deserved upgrade with double me and streak specialist, which is pretty amazing. So Teddy B is going to be looked to replace in the upcoming draft. Hopefully it's actually a stacked QB draft class, but everyone else here, I don't really know how I feel about everyone else here. So, yeah, again, apart from that, it's time to get into free agency. Here we are after free agency. We obviously don't have an O-line, and we didn't really do anything on offense, but defensively, we got a more depth cornerbacks like I always get in free agency, and I forgot to sign a kicker and punter. That's my bad, but apart from that, it's time to get into the draft. Here we are after the draft, and as you can see, I did tremendously improve the guard and a left tackle, and a little bit of a demotion on a right tackle instead of signing Taylor like we should have, and we got free safety and a strong safety, but I'm still happy with my O-line. I'm still happy with the move I had made, so I'm not going to complain about it. I hope you guys don't either, and that's kind of weird what my screen is doing, but it's time to get into the midseason. Here we are at the midseason, and coming off a bye week, we are 2-5, okay? I can still kind of understand that with Teddy B at QB, so I'm not going to complain about that. But I hope you guys heard that in my voice, how I wasn't very confident about it. But Donte Jackson here as a defensive back, I don't know if I want to re-sign him. It's an iffy situation. I'll determine that at the end of the season. You guys know how I like to just cheap out on cornerbacks and just like pick them up in free agency for a lot cheaper. But I'm not going to pick up that receiver, Robbie Anderson. I'm not going to do that, and I'm just going to spend the money on Donte Jackson instead. I'm not going to let him slip to free agency because I don't know who will even try to pick him up. Never seen him in free agency, so we'll just keep him. And apart from that, it is time to get into the playoffs. And once again, we actually did not make the playoffs. I know it says AFC Championship, but I actually simmed too far, and the Carolina Panthers went 6-10 as Teddy B did terrible, a lot worse than last season. Our offense and defense were once again terrible. Christian McCaffrey didn't have a good season either, though Curtis Samuel definitely did. Defensively, Jermaine Carter Jr. with the most tackles for a loss, 11 for Yetur Gross-Matos, 10 sacks for Yetur Gross-Matos, 1 interception for Jermaine Carter Jr., safeties, 0, defensive touchdowns, 0. So apart from that, hopefully we can actually do something in the offseason. So let's just jump straight into that. Here we are in the offseason as the Patriots win the Super Bowl 24-21 against the Atlanta Falcons, as Robbie Anderson is here in free agency. And again, I don't really have an interest in re-signing him and everyone else here. So apart from that, I think it's just going to look into the team. I'm not feeling too confident about this rebuild. I don't even know how I feel about it, though we do have 2 X factors on offense and 1 superstar, and 3 superstars on defense, including my strong safety, which I did not know he had that. So that's pretty cool. We don't know his abilities yet because he's obviously not an 80 overall. So no surprise there. His stats are okay, though. And apart from that, it is time to get into free agency. Here we are after free agency as we pick up Ryan Ramczyk and Dave Bakhtiari. So this O-line is absolutely amazing. And Deshaun Watson, as you can obviously, escape artist, and he has agile extender. So he has a great offensive line, a great running back, a deep threat receiver. We have a great quarterback and a great defense to back it up with Darius Leonard at middle linebacker as well. So this team is overall perfectly set up to make the playoffs. We made big moves in free agency. Now it's time to do that in the draft. So let's get into it. Here we are after the draft as we did pick up our tight ends, a position that we desperately needed. We got a first-string tight end and a second-string tight end, both in the first and second round. A little bit of an interesting move, but we didn't really make any moves on defense. There wasn't anybody there except depth players. I'm going to move that defensive back up. And apart from that, this team looks pretty good to me, and it's time to get into the midseason mark. Here we are at the midseason mark as we're coming off a bye week, about to play the New York Giants, who are 5-2, and we are 3-4. Okay, we have a high overall, but hopefully we can do, I guess, later in the 4th and final season. Though Christian McCaffrey is here, and we're going to give him a big contract because he is the highest paid running back in the NFL currently. Derrick Brown should not be here, and Yetur Gross-Matos and Kenny Robinson all should not be here. Their contracts are all messed up, just like the roster I downloaded. And I explain this every video, but just for newcomers, the roster I downloaded isn't right. The years aren't right. But Jermaine Carter Jr., he wants more money, so we're probably not going to give it to him at the end of the season, but we're just going to check up on that later after the season. But apart from that, it is time to get into the playoffs. Here we are in the playoffs as we are facing the 9-7 Dallas Cowboys, coming off a loss to the San Francisco 49ers as we win the division above the Atlanta Falcons. Deshaun Watson had a terrible season. Offensively, we were terrible. Defensively, we were great in the top 10. Number 7, Deshaun Watson, again, terrible season. Christian McCaffrey, not terrible, but not amazing either. Curtis Samuel actually had a pretty good season. Defensive-wise, Jermaine Carter Jr. with the most tackles. The most tackles for a loss goes to Brian Burns. Most sacks, 5.5 for Yetur Gross-Matos. Most interceptions, Jermaine Carter Jr. with 2. Safeties, 0. Defensive touchdowns, 0. So, apart from that, I'm just going to simulate this wildcard round. If we make it to the divisional, I'll hop in it. And for some reason, my screen's glitching up and I'm getting really big text. It's kind of weird. Hopefully that'll fix itself and we do not actually win. So let's just jump into the offseason. I don't even care. Here we are in the offseason as the Seattle Seahawks beat the Jaguars in the Super Bowl 22-17. And Derrick Brown and Yetur Gross-Matos and Kenny Robinson are here. And Jermaine Carter is the one guy we actually need to resign. I need to renegotiate the contracts with those rookies, and I will get on to that later. But for right now, Jermaine Carter Jr. does have superstar development at the end of the season, so I do want to resign him and make sure he comes back because he did get that development upgrade. As he resigns, he thinks the offer is perfect. I'm going to redo these guys' contract off camera. But apart from that, it is time to get into free agency. Here we are after free agency, and I did have some problems with the rookie contracts, but we did get Allen Robinson, and we are missing Yetur Gross-Matos. Okay, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name anymore. I hate trying to pronounce this. All of you guys are probably making fun of me, but yeah, I screwed up the contracts, and he's not here, so let's get into the draft. And into the draft, we replaced Yetur Gross-Matos with Khalil Mack, which I find a lot better. I traded my first-round pick for 31-year-old Khalil Mack, so I think that's pretty good. And after the draft, this is what the team looks like. As yet again, as I said, Yetur Gross-Matos, his contract got screwed up, and he's in free agency, and some team picked him up. I don't know who. We got a depth right outside linebacker, and we did also get Khalil Mack, and I moved him to left end so that way he can play an edge position like he always does. And let's get into the midseason mark. Here we are at the midseason mark as we're coming off a loss to the Seattle Seahawks, as we are also in a bye week, and we are 2-6. Really EA. So you're going to tell me I have a 90 team, 96 overall offense, 85 overall defense with this God squad, and you're going to give me a 2-6. Like, I don't even have that bad of schemes. My schemes are even good. This team is so stacked. There's at least one X factor on both sides of the ball, and there's so many superstars on my team. You're going to give me a 2-6 record. Okay, so I'm going to stop being salty, and I don't need to re-sign these guys because this is the 4th and final year. So apart from me being salty, let's get into the playoffs. Here we are, not making the playoffs, coming off a loss to the Atlanta Falcons. God, this is frustrating. I think that this is one of the first few rebuilds where I didn't even get a playoff win. Well, actually, no, one of my earlier rebuilds definitely didn't get a playoff win. But anyways, all these people did not do good, including Deshaun Watson. Christian McCaffrey did not do good either. DJ Moore did actually do good. Defensively, Kenny Robinson with the most tackles for a loss. Khalil Mack with 17 sacks, 8 for Khalil Mack. Interceptions, 2 for Donte Jackson. Safeties, 1 for Darius Leonard and 1 for Derrick Brown. Defensive touchdowns, 0. So apart from me being salty that we didn't even get a playoff win and only made it to the wild card against the Cowboys, being 9-7 and lost, this team was very stacked. It's just the Madden sim wasn't there, and I didn't want to force win anything. I didn't want to play cheesy like that. I wanted to do it legitly, but 92 overall team, 97 overall offense, 87 overall defense. I guess defense really does affect sim more than offense, so I guess this was a learning point in today. But sorry for that. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.